we sold a very important blue and white dragon jar from the宣德period. And that had a very nice story on how it came about and how it came to light. And I think it was an incredibly interesting object that had survived since the 15th century in an almost unchanged condition. When you looked at it, you were immediately drawn to it because the painting was so bold and strong, very akin to contemporary ink painting. It was a fantastic object. So as soon as I saw it, I knew that I was in front of something special. It wasn't just a decorative vase that was just sitting there. So when I saw it, the first thing that I did was inspect it very closely, look at the base to check the quality of the body, then you look closely to check the quality of the cobalt blue used in the painting, the style of the calligraphy of the mark, the texture of the glaze, all those things. And that, combined with the story of how that vase came to be in that house with that family, it all made perfect sense. So it was a family heirloom that was acquired in France in the early 20th century. And in various European countries in the early 20th century, there were good places to acquire good Chinese works of art. At the time, I'm sure they were expensive, but when we look at them with today's mentality, they seem quite cheap. From an early age, I was always fascinated by Asia, particularly China. I remember being very young and getting a little toy, a little truck, and on the box there were lots of Chinese characters. And from there I started to really wonder how this language worked, how it was possible to communicate with these symbols and so on. I became more and more interested in Chinese history, and I combined my two passions, languages and history, and I decided to go to university and and have Chinese, Mandarin as my major. And then after that I lived in Beijing, and then I came back to the UK and I did my master's in Chinese art and archaeology. Read books, and you follow the auction market, and you visit museums and galleries, and you handle as many pieces as possible. But I think the knowledge really comes from spending time with the objects and handling them, and speaking to people that have been in the business for a long time, such as very prominent dealers, other specialists from auction houses, your colleagues. So that's how I got to be where I am today. So porcelain from the main three reigns, Kanxi, Yongzheng and Qianlong. Porcelain from this period, to me again, they have something very immediate. You look at them and it's very easy to appreciate them. Unlike perhaps Sung ceramics, they're much more scholarly, and I think you need to have a little understanding of the circumstances that they were made in, and a little bit of academic knowledge to fully appreciate them. Not that you don't need these things to appreciate Qing porcelain, but I think that particularly enameled pieces of porcelain, they're very beautiful. They have this intrinsic beauty that you look at them and you can appreciate the quality straight away. I remember going to the British Museum and just really looking at this magnificent Tianqiuping with peaches, and just wondering how is it possible to achieve such beautiful shading with the pink enamels and so on. So I'm very much drawn to the aesthetic, but also to the technology of how these pieces are made.